All right, most mortgage applications get delayed because of a few mistakes or missing pieces of information. I'm going to show you how to avoid them. I'll walk you through this step by step so you don't run into common issues that can slow down your pre approval. I review mortgage applications every day with clients, and I'm going to point out where most people usually get stuck. Let's jump in. Okay, this is for Canadian mortgage applications. I'm specifically using the Dominion Lending Center's financial application. There is a link below to in the description that will include the link to my application if you want me to take a look at your application directly. You may have also received this from your own mortgage broker, but feel free to use mine if you'd like me to take a look at your app. So, first thing I want you to do, obviously, confirm that you've read the terms of use, privacy agreement. If you've started an application up here, this is already here. Now, I do recommend people create an account. It's going to be able to help you save your application to complete it later. You can look at your dashboard to manage your application. Just much easier if you do that. Now, you can do that later. So, right now, we're going to continue as a guest and we'll create our login information later on. So, while this loads here. So we're going to be doing a pre-approval. And so what we want to do is click buy a property and no, I'm still looking. And that's what's going to create, have you found for a pre-approval essentially. Now this number here, this gives your mortgage broker an idea of the purchase price that you have in mind. Now maybe you've already done some used an online calculator, you've got a sense of how much you might qualify for, or maybe you've just been looking online to get a sense of what that number might be. The number you put in here may or may not be the number that you end up getting approved for, but it's a good metric to maybe get started with. Now, let's say, for example, you're looking at $1 million property. It's a nice, easy number to work with. Obviously, not everybody is looking for that much or that little, but let's just use that for now. Now, if you have the number that I want you to put in here, I don't want necessarily to say, I've got 20% down of this number. And that seems to be the number that everybody puts down is 20%, but maybe you have a little bit more. Maybe you've got more than that. Maybe you've got less, and that is fine as well. But what I want you to do is put the full amount that you have. So that maybe that ends up being $225,000. Now, something also keep in mind is you're going to also need to have closing costs on top of this. So I want you to budget your down payment as well as money for the closing costs, which do not play a factor as well as the down payment. These are to be two separate things. Now, if you are going to live in the property, maybe you're buying your first property, you're going to click, I'm going to live in it. Now, if you're also going to rent it out or you're going to live in it, or maybe you also planning to live in it and have a basement apartment, then this would be something else that you might fill in here. Just for simplicity, we're just going to say we're going to live in it for now. Do you have a realtor? I highly recommend that you use a realtor. Just helps you to negotiate on your behalf. It saves you money. It's well worth it. And there's no money out of your pocket to have a buying agent with you. Did somebody refer to you? You can say yes or no on this. And if say yes, then you'll just put in their information in this section. Let's just say no for now. Perfect. So we've got it started. We've got how many borrowers? Let's say there's going to be two borrowers. It's going to be two different people and all two different pieces of information. Now I'm gonna put in my own information in here. I'm gonna say it's Sean and Humphries. I'm gonna say my preferred name. My middle name is Danger, of course, and I'm gonna put in Sean Toronto Lending.ca. My phone number. Oops, that is not my phone number. But let's make it just for ease here. Now, this is something that a lot of people miss. So they put in their cell phone number because it's required. You can certainly put in a home phone number. I find that most people don't necessarily have a home phone number right now, but the work phone number, this is something that's not required, but it actually does delay the application sometimes when you don't put in your phone number. So what I'm going to recommend is put it in here. And that work phone number is going to be important because it's part of the application that needs to be entered for some lenders. Not every lender requires it, but almost all of them will call your employer or want to know that they can call your employer. So that is a number that I definitely recommend inserting into that section. Do you have a preferred social media platform? Maybe you're on Instagram. You can put in your Instagram handle here, and then we can follow each other. Or maybe it's YouTube. Well, we don't have YouTube, but you can do none, I guess. So Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn. Birth date, December. And let's say that you're born in 1910. You put in, so also important to actually put in your real information. The birth date here is very important when you're putting it in. Also, your marital status. This information is cross-referenced on your credit report. So if this information is incorrect, then that is going to signal that there could be some fraud going on, and that can really delay your application. Putting your social insurance number in. I know most people don't want to put this in, but it's actually for these instances that you need to put it in. It helps us match up. Is this the real person? Maybe there's somebody else, some other person that with the exact same number and maybe or exact same name and maybe a similar birth date. Your credit reports can get mixed up. Now, most people will have this number on their T4, but for me personally, if you enter it, it saves me a step as the mortgage broker to go and get that information. And it's another delay that can slow down your app. Also, it is possible if maybe you've been new to Canada, you've become a permanent resident, you've had a temporary social insurance number before. If you have a permanent number, then it can create two different credit reports with the credit agencies, so Equifax or TransUnion. So putting in this number accurately is actually very helpful to help your mortgage application continue. Number of dependents, so children under 18, parents that may live with you that rely on your income. This would be where you would put that information in. Where do you live? So let's put my office address in here. Just going to use that for now. So we'll say that we live here and I live with parents. When did you start living here? Long time ago. I'm over 115 years old in this. So over almost 100 years I've lived with my parents. Okay, so we've got the first borrower in, and now we're going to come in here and do the second borrower. So let's say it's Pamela Anderson. Preferred name is Pam. Same email address. And she lives. Same phone number. You want to put in the work phone number. So let's put in that number as well. Social media platform, we'll skip it. But again, birth date needs to be the same, needs to be accurate. And that's going to help us to put in correct information. And we are married to, I don't know if I put married on the other one, but if you're married, I also need to line up, okay, are these two people married together? Putting in your social insurance number, important, two dependents, same number of dependents. And let's put in the select. So I can, as a second borrower, if you live together, I can use the same address and just click that. So a bit of a time saver for you. I'm going to say live with parents. When did we start living there? What did we say in the first one? 1930. So we'll say 1931 and continue. So very important to put in the exact information. We do need to see, actually, let's just back this up. So let's say you started living there in 2025. We're going to need a second address here. So because then this is actually does delay the application. If for some reason you've put less than 3 years, I will need to then go back and request that information for you. So it is important. Maybe you've lived with parents, maybe you moved out and back. I recommend putting any permanent address that you've used for any sort of credit application in the past. So for example, maybe you went away to university. You may or may not have used that address when you were away as your base address. So I would say that would have been a temporary address in that situation. So maybe you've just moved home, or maybe your parents moved, or maybe you've moved and you've rented in short periods of time, we do need to see the 3 years of address. And that's why that's going to click that back. So now we still don't have that. So let's just do this. April 2023 means that we have 3 years of history. Okay, perfect. Okay, so now we're going to move on to adding different types of income sources. So whether you're employed, you're self-employed, you've got a pension, if your primary income, maybe spousal support, child support, kind of child benefit, this is where we're going to find all of those different details. So I'm going to do kind of the simplest one first, which is being an employee. Is this your current employment? Meaning, is this exactly where you're working now, where you're currently being paid? Um, so this is where you're going to put in those details. So let's go. I'm at Sean's House of Waffles. It's the same place. Let's see, there we go. And job title, Chief Waffler. Full time, of course. Do you receive any bonuses, overtime, or commission? Probably in this place you receive overtime. What we'd be looking for here is okay, is there commission? We're looking at a 2-year average from the past. So this might be, we're looking at the T4s, we're looking at maybe business income, but essentially, or on the pay stub, sorry. So this isn't projected income. This isn't, well, I could be on target earnings of 250,000. No, I'm looking at what you've earned the last couple of years. So let's say, yes, you receive benefits. Okay. Let's say you make $80,000, including all of that. How long have you worked in this industry? So this is separate from how long have you been at this job for. So if maybe you've been in the same industry for 10 years, this is what you would put here, but maybe you only started in August of 2025 at this particular location. If that is the case, then you're going to have to add another piece of employment. So maybe before, we're going to say no, you were at maybe a competitor. Maybe you were at Anya's Pancake Emporium. And that was in the same location, just because I just want to keep things simple here. Okay, we'll use that. And job title was Chief Pancake Chef. Full time, did not receive bonuses there. And you made 75,000. So now we're going to say that is, and we're here from, and this might be not exact, but if you can give me something pretty close, then that's going to be great. I don't need to know exactly the first day of your first shift there, but that would be great. If you can get it within the month or within a couple of weeks, then I'm going to be happy with that. And then, so maybe you started working there all the way up to, December 2025. That now will satisfy. Oh, I'm missing something. Okay, what am I missing? So company name is missing, job title is missing, start date is missing, annual income is missing. Oh, I've got 2 of them. Oh, I must have put another one in. So I'm going to remove that because I've already got the 2 jobs that I have. And I guess by mistake, I put in a different one. So that's something, you can go through and remove things or you can add them back in. Pamela Anderson. So let's do something different for her. She's self-employed. It's her current income. Let's say, she's a Hollywood actress and she's working at 569 Danforth Avenue. Danforth Road. Okay. So, and she's a sole proprietor. Now, based on if you're self-employed and you're a corporation, a sole proprietor, a partnership, is going to be determined on which different details that I'll need in the application. So, or which documents that I'll need. But you do your best, and I'm going to come back and ask you basically, how do you pay yourself? So as a sole proprietor, you're not going to have a T4. You can't pay yourself a dividend, but you might have commission or business income. As part of a corporation, this is where you can have T4s and dividends where you pay yourself that income. Now, some people also are self-employed, but they also have a salary position as well. I see this all the time in the film industry where they get paid some they get paid some in T4s, they get some just as business income. Do your best, fill in as much as you can, and there'll be a spot at the end where you can give me some more detail, and that helps me to know which questions and which documents to ask you for. So let's say 80,000, corporation, business income, and T4s. And let's just say started this business in 2014 and continue. So now we have all of our income filled in here. If we also have, this would also be the spot to fill in maybe Canada Child Benefit. If you're making that, maybe that's 6,000 per year. Something also to know is that it depends on the age of your children. So if you're going to claim Canada Child Benefit, we're also going to need to know how much it is. We're going to need a statement for it, but how old your children are. So if they are 13 or older, we're probably not going to be able to use the Canada Child Benefit as part of the application, because before the term is up, they will have aged out of the program, and we can't count that as income because you're not going to make it throughout the whole mortgage term. So usually it's 13 and younger that we're looking, or under 13 that we're looking for. And let's say you started getting that in 2019. All right. So now we've got Pamela Anderson has child benefit. She also works in Hollywood as a movie star and making $80,000. So total income of $86,000. Perfect. Now we're going to add in different bank accounts. So this is different than the assets. This might be your primary banking location. This might be TD Canada Trust, where you've got a checking account and you've got about $10,000 in there. Will you be using it for the down payment? Let's say no, because we're going to have some other assets to add in here. Say continue. Let's say Pamela Anderson is at Van City and she's got savings of $80,000. Using that for the down payment? Yes, absolutely. Now, we can also add different banking here, but there will also be another opportunity to add the assets into this section. Where I want you to do it is here, though, because we're going to start adding things like, okay, maybe you don't see your bank listed on here. Okay, it's Meridian, but let's say there's not one that's listed on here. We're going to put other, and then you're going to put your other institution in here, whether it's bank or credit union or something that's not listed. And let's say you've got your RSPs there and you're going to be using $60,000. Now, you might have $80,000 here. You can say, I'm going to be using this for a down payment, and then make a note later on and say, well, I just want to use 60,000 of it. I'm going to verify exactly how much is going towards the down payment and where those sources are coming from. But for now, as part of a pre-approval, we're just giving a general sense of how much is there. Now you might be thinking, well, I've got 80, but I really only want to use 50 and I'm just going to put 50. To be honest, that's fine. But what I would love to see is the full amount. So how much is in there? Because that can actually help your application on approval. If you only have $80,000, if you have $80,000, you're using 60 of it for the down payment. That extra $20,000, that is actually helps to strengthen your file. The lenders want to know that you're not using necessarily every single dollar. Now, if you are, that's fine as well. But sometimes that can help you to maybe get a little bit more, borrow a little bit more than you otherwise would if you've got no other assets. And if it's a rental property, by the way, you would need to have the rental property. You might need to have some other money on the side as well, other than the money that's going towards the down payment. Okay, continue. We could just imagine. Okay, so we've got enough filled in here. If you obviously, so you want to fill in this section as well. You can fill in to the nearest $1,000. If you want to put into the nearest $100 as well, that's fine. But I don't necessarily need to see to the exact cent of what you have on every different account. Some people really love filling that out. But the thing is that is going to change today and tomorrow. And like as interest gets made and fees gets paid and people buy things, that information gets moved around quite a bit. So love to see to the nearest 1,000 and be as accurate as you can to the nearest $1,000 or nearest 100 if you prefer. Haven't added any assets for Sean. Okay, so let's add in that we're getting a gift from family. Let's say we're getting $25,000 and it's a gift from my brother. Now, you can get gifts from immediate family members, but you cannot get gifts from friends. Friends cannot provide, as part of the law here in Canada, you cannot get a gift for a down payment from a friend. So let's add this in. Do you have life insurance? So let's say we do have life insurance. This may or may not be an asset for you. Okay, it's good to know at this stage. But as for life insurance to be counted as an asset, it has to be it has to be an investment essentially. And so things like whole life insurance, which starts as you pay into it, it's not just disappearing, but you are accruing interest on it. And one day you can take the money out, or you can surrender the life insurance. And that actually is one of the options here. So you could put that in if you wanted. Household goods is another one. If you had things like, jewelry or a stamp collection, or you put a variety of money towards it, that can also help on your application. Now, what lenders want to see is that you have all this other money, or you don't have any other money, but you've invested into something else. Then that can help. Maybe it's a tool, your tools, if you're a carpenter or something like that. That would be where you'd want to put that asset in. Things like, fridge, stove, and, things that are maybe not as useful, or they don't have a resale value. That's not as important to put into this situation. Also, you can put in your vehicles here as well. What did I do? All right, continue. Properties. Do you own any properties? Maybe you're not a first-time home buyer and you're just looking to figure out what it is that you own. So let's say that you do own a property. Now, I have the option of putting in a property for me as well as Pamela Anderson. And so I don't need the same property to go in twice. This is actually a time-saving thing for me as well. So public service announcement, if you're filling out this part of the application, I only need to put in the one property and the one mortgage, even if you both own it 50-50. What is your property address? Let's say it's this one. How much is this property worth? Let's say it's worth $800,000. Do you plan on selling this property? Let's say yes. So we're going to sell it. We're going to get $200,000 from this property. Property of a mortgage, probably. So let's say the lender is Scotiabank and it's 3.21%. It's a fixed rate. How often do you make payments? Monthly. So filling in as much detail on this section actually helps me out quite a bit. None of this is required when you're filling in the application, but it's a big time saver for the mortgage broker or me to go through and having to add those details in. So you will have to provide the bank statement or the mortgage statement so we can line up those details, but filling in these details here is super important. So let's say, what's the balance at the start? Let's say that there was 500,000. Whoops, 500,000, and the payment is $2,500. So all of these information, like the payment, I need to get that pretty locked in, especially if you're not selling the property. The balance at the start of the mortgage, that's fine. If you give me something somewhat accurate, that's not going to delay your mortgage application. But giving it to me as close as possible is important. When is your mortgage due for renewal? Let's say that it is, let's see if it gives us, okay, into the future, 2028. You would also add in a line of credit here. If you've got a line of credit balance, this is where you add those details in. I will also pull that directly from the credit report more than likely, but adding it in here, I like to see it in this section as well. And now if there's a separate property owned, this is where you would fill it in this section as well. Okay, so we're looking good. We've got our details here. Biggest piece of information is, or tip is, that I want you to make sure that all of these details are correct. So yes, review and submit, sure, everything's fine, but go through it here. Take that extra step and just make sure that all that information is correct. I would rather get more detail than less. It's easier for me to take things out than it is to have to go and search around for all those details. Okay, so I'll allow you to do that quick scan here, make sure that everything is correct. Um, oh yeah, so where were you referred from? If you got it from this YouTube video, fill in YouTube video, and or if you were referred by somebody else, then you can put those details in here as well, and enter a valid email. So maybe just you put my email or your own. Continue, and you're going to say, go through those details. Everything looks good. Continue. Now, this is where you can create your account. I really recommend at this stage, if you've gotten this far, create an account. It's going to allow you to go back in, make changes, add details. I will send you a link to the application portal where you'll start to upload some documents there. But creating the account is by far the easiest way to go back in and be able to manage your mortgage. Great. I hope that helped. If you're filling this out, those small tweaks should help you avoid delays and keep things moving. If you want me to take a look at your situation, you can use the application link below, and I'll personally review it and walk you through your options. There is no obligation. And if you're just getting started, this is a great place to start and just see where you stand. Let me know if you have any questions.